Hi friends, Itheria here. I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 for a month or so now, and I'm really loving it. I'm almost done, and maybe I will be by the time I post this video, though I do plan to replay. Anywho, one of my friends just started playing the game, and I realized that I actually have a lot of helpful little tips for new players, so I wanted to share them. This video will not contain spoilers, and I ask that you be respectful in the comments as well. Do not talk about spoilers there, please. If you want to talk about spoilers with a community, you're welcome to join my Discord server and find the appropriate channels where you can talk about Baldur's Gate spoilers. Let's get into the tips. First, you can make your characters move separately by clicking on the portrait and dragging it out of the group. This is really helpful for when you need to dismantle traps, because if you all move as a group, then someone is going to step on it, okay? Every time. The NPCs are smart, but they're not that smart. Next, and this one is super helpful, holding down left Alt on the keyboard can help you find objects that you're able to pick up or otherwise interact with. I don't play on controller, so I do not know what the shortcut on controller is, but if anybody does, please share that in the comments. When you jump, whether it be across a gap or to a higher place, make sure that all of your party members are following you. I can't tell you how many times I've left someone behind because they didn't jump. The game can be a little bit buggy with this. Sometimes they don't follow you because they can't jump as high as you can, but most of the time, if they don't follow, it's just the game being dumb, and you have to take control and make them jump. When you're in a cutscene, you can find a history of the chat log in the bottom left corner in case you missed something. You can set items as wares, so you just right-click the item and click Add to Wares. This makes it easier to find when you're trading with NPCs. So when you're trading, the NPC will have a Wares tab and it allows you to just sell anything you've marked as a ware for gold. If the NPC doesn't have enough gold, then you'll have to barter instead, and unfortunately the Wares tab just doesn't exist for bartering, but the items marked as wares will still have the ware icon over them, so they're still a bit easier to find. If you hold down the shift key on keyboard, you can mass select items in your inventory. From there you can right click, and then you can get options such as sending them to another character or to camp, or adding them to wares. You can also hold down Control to select multiple items that are scattered around your inventory. It kind of works the same way as, honestly, a Windows computer does. If you open up like any file folder in your Windows computer, it works the same exact way, which is really nice. And speaking of sending things to camp, you can send things to camp. You can theoretically send as much stuff as you want to your camp as like storage. I'm in Act 3 and I have yet to be told that I've run out of space in my camp chest. So basically, if you ever become encumbered and you're in the middle of like an important exploration or maybe some sort of quest or mission that you're on, you could just send the stuff to camp and then remove it and pawn it off to a trader later. So you don't have to stop what you're doing and deal with it. You can still keep picking stuff up, just send it to camp. The Custom tab on your skill bar allows you to create your own custom skill set. You can use this however you want, but I like to put things on it that I frequently use, like thieves' toolkits, health potions, and anything else I don't want to have to dig through my inventory for. Friendly fire is very much a thing in this game, so make sure you're locked onto the correct target before you use a skill. Enemies will always be outlined in red, where allies will either be blue if they're in your party, like a very light cayenne blue color, or they will be green if they're allies but they're not in your party, and sometimes there may be people that are outlined in yellow, which are usually NPCs that are not your enemy, but they're like not your ally. It's kind of weird, but just make sure that it's red. And furthermore, this also means that your AoEs can and will hit your teammates, so be careful when you are using those as well. And this does include anything you lay on the ground, like grease. Your own party members can slip and fall prone in the grease, so friendly fire is a big thing in this game. Try not to have all your characters huddled together in combat, because this makes it really easy for enemies to just AoE the entire party, and if they're using a skill that gives you some sort of debuff and you don't win your saving throws, then a lot of your characters could end up debuffed, and it's just really annoying. So if they are more spread apart, then some of your party members may not be affected by AoE skills. You can actually change your class and respec your stats at any time as long as you found a certain character who appears in Act 1. But I'm not gonna say more because I feel that this game is a lot more fun when you do all the exploring and discovery on your own, so I'm just gonna tell you that they exist, but it's up to you to find them. You should save the game a lot. Anytime you make meaningful progress that you don't want to lose, you should save the game. This way, if your game crashes, you have a good save point. If you wipe, you have a close save point. You don't have to redo a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, imagine fighting for like an hour, wiping, and then having to do the same thing over again. You may not want to do that. Similarly, if you do want to save scum, if things just don't go your way, you will have a decent save point for that. The game does autosave before major progress points, but you'll still find that it can be helpful to save in the middle of your progress through any particular quest. Just make sure that you do have more than one save, because let's say that you're really struggling with a fight and you want to come back to it later, but you're like stuck in the middle of it and your save keeps sending you back to like mid-fight. You don't want to get yourself trapped in the fight either. So that's why I'm saying, it can be good to have multiple saves, or just rely on that autosave that will usually happen before a big fight. Quest items are outlined in orange in your inventory. Pressing the spacebar will skip your turn, so don't press it. I know it can be hard to get a good view of the entire area that you're battling in sometimes, so you might be tempted to press space to try and move the camera up, but you're gonna skip your turn and it's gonna suck and you're gonna hate yourself for it. I've done it, we've all done it. What you can do instead is press O on keyboard. This will give you like a top view, like a view from above, and that can make it a little bit better. Sometimes it's still not perfect, but it is an option. Doors, locks, chests, etc. that are red signify that you will get in trouble if you're caught messing with them, so you have to be sneaky. If it's gray instead of red, then you don't have to sneak and you can mess with it in broad daylight. You can pick up almost anything in this game, almost anything, including entire chests and even bodies. So it's actually easier to steal in some cases an entire chest than it is to pick a lock in broad daylight where you're likely to get caught. I'm not going to say more on that, just know that you can pick up entire chests and entire bodies. Using turn-based mode can make certain things easier. For example, if you turn invisible because you want to sneak somewhere and steal something, you can cover a lot more distance in 10 turns in turn-based mode than you can outside of it. Basically, you're able to make the most of that invisibility potion or scroll. And finally, the last tip that I wanted to share, which I think is kind of the best tip, is just to explore as much as you can. Check every nook and cranny of any place that you're in. This game is all about finding things through exploring. Without exploring, you can easily pass by whole areas and side quests, and while you don't necessarily have to do side quests, the majority of them are a lot of fun and often reward you with seriously helpful loot. I just feel like exploring is largely the fun of this game, figuring out how to get into a certain place, because you'll see, okay, I know I can get out of here, I know there's a door here, but how do I open the door? Or I know you can see on the map that there's a place next to where you are, and you just can't figure out how to get there. But the more exploring you do, the more likely you are to find the clues to figure out how to get there, and that is a major part of the fun of the game. So just take your time and explore and really enjoy it. Alright, so those were all of the tips that I could think of. I'm sure as my friend goes through the game, I might end up coming up with more, but if you guys have any tips for fresh Baldur's Gate 3 players, then please leave them in the comments below. But once again, please make sure that they are spoiler-free. And if you liked this video or found it helpful, please consider leaving a sacrifice to Lord Algorithm in the form of a thumbs up, comment, share, or subscribe. As always, thank you so much for watching. Bye!